Hey friends, I've got a little burr I've got to get off me today. This little quote popped up on my social media feed. I don't know the original author of these words, but this little ditty caught my attention because it's so typical of the advice and the rhetoric that floats around the mental health world. While there's nothing about this statement that isn't 100% true, it's also not at all trauma informed. I suppose in the right settings and in the right context, a powerful quote about self-control equaling strength can be motivating and inspiring. However, when it's used to instruct trauma survivors on what they need in order to get a different outcome for their life, it can have the exact opposite effect. Rather than helping anyone, it can trigger a lot of internal self-loathing, and it can significantly increase one's sense of failure and shame. And the reason for that is that it's not sustainable. No matter how much we may want it, and we may want it to be true for us, and we may want it to be that easy, it's not. The wisdom in this little ditty seems so obvious though, right? If something isn't working, do something different. Don't let what others do affect you, because that's ridiculous. And don't let your emotions get out of control, because that will make you look weak, which is just hogwash. Here's the problem. Statements like this assume that the drivers of the self-control problem are thinking errors and a lack of willpower, and they are not that. More often than not, in fact, I'm willing to bet almost always, the driver is actually trauma. Traumatic experiences cause neurological, psychological, and emotional injuries, and they leave permanent scars that will fester and flare for years. Even if they're invisible, they can last a lifetime until they are cleaned out and healed. The great irony of it all is that the trauma likely happened because someone else's lack of control overpowered the strength that you had available at the time, and their significant actions left festering wounds on our bodies, our mind, our soul, and heart that need to be healed until we can fully reclaim the direction of our life. The other ugly truth about trauma is that it alters how our own fight or flight systems work. Instead of rising up real fast and then settling back down as they're supposed to, they get stuck in the always on or life is always a crisis position. This isn't a thinking error that can be shut off by changing our thoughts or our mood. It's an autonomic nervous system injury that requires healing, unlearning, and retraining. From a trauma-informed perspective, though, the part that almost made me laugh out loud was don't allow your emotions to overpower your intelligence. And while that sounds like a great idea, for those who have been through trauma, especially any kind of relationship or attachment trauma, it's not an emotion or a weakness that overpowers your intelligence in moments of high stress. It's actually the stress hormones like cortisol that are naturally produced in our body and exist to help us regulate some stress. When they are produced in excess, such as in trauma situations, they flood our brains and literally shut down our ability to think clearly in order to help us survive. So let's rewrite this quote from a trauma survivor and thriver's perspective, shall we? Self-control is a learned strength. Calmness is the inner mastery of it. You have to heal the wounds that trauma inflicted on your life to get to the point where your mood doesn't shift based on the significant actions of someone else. You must also learn to trust yourself and feel safe enough in your own home and in your own skin to reclaim your personal power and not allow others to control the direction of your life. As the trauma wounds heal and you learn to implement healthy coping skills and appropriate boundaries, you'll gain the ability to stay grounded and present during stressful encounters so that your nervous system and emotions don't hijack your intelligence. There, that's much better. If you liked this video, check out this one. In it, you'll learn about different types and levels of stress and how trauma messes with all of them. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, give it a like and a comment. I'll see you next time. Bye.